Hello and welcome to World News by Denis Halandzovskyi. If you value calm, nuanced, and fact-driven analysis of complex global issues, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share your perspective. Today we turn to the Middle East, where tensions are rising again over Israeli settlement expansion in the West Bank, a core flashpoint in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In recent months, settlement activity in the West Bank, territory long disputed between Israelis and Palestinians, has accelerated. Settlement blocks, outposts, and infrastructure expansions have expanded the footprint of Israeli civilian communities beyond pre-1967 lines deep into areas Palestinians envision for a future state. Mapping data shows that settlement growth is not uniform. It clusters around major roadways, security zones, and strategic hilltops. Some developments are extensions of long-established communities, while others involve new construction that critics deem illegal even under Israeli law. For Palestinians living in and around these areas, the consequences are immediate and tangible. Land once used for farming or community life is increasingly inaccessible. Movement is constrained by checkpoints, bypass roads, and security zones that favor settlers. Homes are demolished, families displaced, and tensions, already high, continue to escalate. Israeli authorities justify settlement expansion on multiple grounds: religious and historical claims to the land, security imperatives, and domestic political pressures. Successive governments in Jerusalem have supported settlement growth to varying degrees, embedding these communities into the country's political fabric and electoral calculus. At the same time, not all Israelis support expansion. Within Israel, there are debates over the legal, moral, and strategic costs of settlement policy. Some argue that deepening presence in the West Bank undermines Israel's democratic character and fuels cycles of violence that imperil both Israelis and Palestinians. Internationally, settlement expansion draws widespread criticism. The United Nations, European Union, and many states regard settlements as obstacles to peace, violating international law and undermining prospects for a two-state solution. Successive U.S. administrations have varied in their tone and policy, but the underlying concern remains that unilateral changes on the ground make negotiated outcomes more distant. The issue of settlements cannot be separated from broader political dynamics. Firstly, the peace process itself is deeply affected. For decades, negotiations envisioned a future Palestinian state alongside Israel, roughly restituting territory lost in 1967 in exchange for security guarantees. Settlement expansion complicates this vision by interspersing Israeli civilian communities across territory claimed by Palestinians. Drawing borders acceptable to both sides becomes more difficult and more contentious with every new building permit. Secondly, the expansion affects security and daily life. Outbreaks of violence, from clashes at checkpoints to lone actor attacks, are frequently tied to settlement activity. Security operations often follow incidents, leading to raids, arrests, and curfews that affect broader communities. For civilians on both sides, this cycle of tension and retaliation deepens mistrust and hardens attitudes. Thirdly, settlement policy has regional implications. Arab states that once distanced themselves from direct engagement with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict have increasingly normalized ties with Israel due to shifting geopolitical interests. Yet, settlement expansion erodes the goodwill of these diplomatic shifts, complicating broader cooperation on trade, security, and diplomacy across the Middle East. International reactions also matter. Many Western democracies issue statements condemning expansion, threatening diplomatic consequences, or revisiting aid and cooperation frameworks. Such responses reflect broader concerns about human rights, territorial sovereignty, and the viability of negotiated peace. Finally, at the heart of this issue is the human cost. For Palestinians, both in refugee communities and in small villages, settlement expansion represents a loss of land, livelihood, and hope for self-determination. For Israeli settlers, expansion is seen by many as a return to ancestral land or a necessary buffer for security. These competing narratives, deep in personal and collective identity, make the conflict so intractable. Thank you for watching this analysis on World News by Denis Halandzovskyi. If this report helped you understand a complex and critical issue, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share your perspective. Independent reporting and thoughtful discussion are vital in navigating conflicts that shape our world. Stay informed and see you in the next update.